today?
I'm good, thank you.
Can you tell me your name?
My name is Erica Pitsch.
Erica. And where are we, Erica?
We are at the UCSF Physical Therapy Health and Wellness Center.
Okay, and what do you do here?
I am a licensed physical therapist that focuses primarily with patients with neurologic problems.
Okay. And we're here today to evaluate the GlideTrak as it's placed inside of your clinic. And you've been training now for quite some time, a couple of days on this and also on the Glidecycle. Now, do you want to just give us some feedback? Tell us what you feel, think?
Yeah, well, one, I mean, I think the purpose of our getting the GlideTrak here is that we are basically first a fitness center for people with neurologic problems. So our goal is to provide ongoing care for people with either stroke, brain injury, Parkinson's, that population who normally doesn't have an alternative for exercise or can't use standard gym equipment for fitness. So the first is to give people with disabilities an opportunity to exercise. The second is an opportunity to actually walk at higher speeds than they would be able to normally, and hopefully be able to improve, get some carryover into overground walking. Because what we know from the research is that if you want to walk faster, you've got to practice walking faster. Brains are very specific. And so all of our body weight support systems are based on the scientific principles of neuroplasticity, that with body weight support, you are allowed to experience that locomotion at a higher level of speed of that reciprocal motion without the fear of falling. All of the systems have their pros and cons. The pros of what I found in my time practicing with this, with the GlideTrak, is that number one, it does allow for reciprocal stepping. You are supported, your legs are free and unconstrained so that you can move your legs very symmetrically and evenly in time with the treadmill or on the Glidecycle, just out in the real world. But there's no risk of falling because you're actually supported by your pelvis, and worst case scenario, you have the shoulder harness if there's any kind of lack of trunk control.
Okay.
I mean, at worst, I can, the very most concern is that I might hang by my armpits a little bit. But what's nice about it is that in terms of comfort and stability, you either have harnesses, shorts, or the system here, which is basically on the ischial tuberosities and the anterior superior iliac spine. So there's very little weight bearing through the actual groin or compression, trunk compression in the harness. So
is that more comfortable than the harness, or?
I think it is. I mean, the initial adaptation period, yeah, you get a little kind of sore in your hips, but other than that, I think in general it's much more comfortable than a harness would be for that. So that's what's nice, is that it does have a very comfortable support system. And contrary to what you'd think, because the seat kind of hooks right on your ischial tuberosities, it does allow you to extend your hip and really get a stretch there. It doesn't quite look like it, and I was incredulous at first as well, but it does you to get nice stride length without slipping.
Okay.
But no, but it's great fun, and I think, and that's the other thing, the advantage of it, it's fun. It feels good, and that's really important, because if it feels good, people want to keep doing it.
Yes.
You know, for anybody, neurologic problems or otherwise, if it's comfortable, if it's fun, and you're getting exercise, that's a very good thing. And as I was saying with you earlier, that getting anybody to exercise, most of the population does not exercise for whatever reason, but people with pain, with disability, with mobility issues, those barriers to exercise are bigger and bigger. This opens a window and removes some of those barriers for people who normally wouldn't be able to exercise because of pain. I mean, I have knee pain myself. Running for me hurts a lot. A lot. Landing on that leg hurts more than I find it worth it to land on. But here, I can get that feeling of running, of that leg stretch, of that opening up and really moving my feet at speed. That just feels good, right?
Yeah.
So whether you're an athlete who needs to scratch that itch and feel that leg burn then you can't get to a pool and run in the water. That running in the pool is great too. But if you don't have a swimsuit and don't want to smell like chlorine and don't have the time, you can get in here and get that running fix like few other modalities would, especially at this price range.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have, you know, $30,000+ this is something that's a reasonable alternative. The cons, the drawbacks are, again, my hips are a little sore. And actually, in terms of it does kind of, you do sacrifice some pelvic motion with running, because normally you get some iliac rotation as you're going here. The support system kind of cuts that out. However, it does, it's like a pro and con at the same time. You're being held at your pelvis, but because it's unstable, you're getting a huge challenge to your trunk. So you're getting a lot of postural control challenge here that is highly beneficial, because as we know with a lot of the systems too, the minute you start holding on and hanging, your postural control mechanisms don't have to kick in. They go to sleep. Here, you're being supported, but I still feel like I have to hold myself up. So I think what would be really interesting to see as we do more research with this is, number one, does it carry over into overground walking speed? And also, does it help with the postural control component? Because, you know, if we see it with a lot of our lower level patients, you know, the postural control, you know, moving the feet doesn't help so much. And that's one of my, you know, one of the other cons, I think, is that unless you have an army, getting a patient who can't stand or needs a lot of assistance to stand is very difficult. Would be very difficult. I haven't tried it myself yet, but you do have to have the person standing to get the seat underneath them to hook it up. So they have to be able to maintain standing, whether it's with someone independently or with a lot of assist. And especially
wouldn't that be true with almost any equipment? I mean, because with this we can pull people on a wheelchair into the system.
But no, but with, like, for example, there are some with like the light gate, we can bring it all the way down to wheelchair level, put the harness on in sitting, and literally pick them up.
Yes.
So this would take, you can't quite get that here, but each system has its benefit for different populations. I mean, I think the Ultra G, it's great for elite runners. This would also help that population, but I think it also has a wider range on the lower end of the spectrum, because if I need to, I can reach their legs. I can move their feet and make adjustments if necessary. Help with toe clearance. I would help with foot clearance. That with the Ultra G, I'm in a bubble and I can't. And I think it does make it a little bit more of a postural control perturbation. So, yeah, I think its range is a little broader than some systems. It reaches the high end, a little bit towards the lower end, whereas something like the light gate would, or like the new lift, would accommodate the low end. Where here you could do it, it just takes a couple of people, or it would. But,
so it's best suited for just above low level all the way to elite athlete.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I would think. But, yeah, and it does take a bit of adjusting. You kind of like work your way down into it a bit.
Yeah, you do.
Slipping. But no,
overall, would you like to see this in therapy centers?
Yes, I would. I think it's much more accessible. It's a lot more accessible, and also, I mean, look at the things that would need maintenance. No computer system here. It's climbing gear, ratchets. It's hardware.
Yeah.
It's hardware. So that makes it much more...
Well, it's virtually maintenance free.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, in terms of there's nothing to weigh or calibrate. Yeah. I mean, I think all of them, it's stuff that's easily and relatively cheaply replaceable. So I think for that alone and economically, it's much more sustainable and practical from a use standpoint than a lot of the other technologies here. Yeah, no, I like it. I mean, in terms of whether I like it, I mean, it depends, and it also depends on the population that you see.
Absolutely.
If you tend to see more high-level patients, absolutely. But again, if the population at the institution was mostly low level, I think another system might be more helpful and also more safe for the therapist. But for this one, I mean, heck, if you got the resources, get one for low and one for pack.
That's true.
Yeah.
Then if you did want to hit low, like we practice low level, it just takes 2 therapists at minimum.
Yeah. And that's the thing though, because it's not just 2 therapists, it's 2 therapists doing a lot of physical work.
Yes.
Because the patient has to stand for this to get underneath them, and we're trying to, I mean, the goal for a lot of institutions is to limit the amount of lifting for everyone.
Now that would be true like with the Alter G, you guys use the harness system to drop them in.
Yeah.
So we really could use the harness system to drop them into this too.
True. Yeah. So, but if you're looking for, if you have another system, then that would be fine. But if you're looking for something standalone, then it has to be for patients who can stand alone.
I like that. If you can.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, that's really nice. Is there any last message you'd like to give to any therapists?
Go play outside.
Go play outside on the Glidecycle?
Use the Glidecycle too, because again, getting outside, if you have patients especially that like to be outside, it's a way to get them out.
Yeah.
And just, fresh air, sunshine, traveling through space.
So you like the natural progression of learning to run on the GlideTrak indoors and then moving outdoors on the Glidecycle?
Yeah, I think that was helpful because you do get kind of the idea of just orienting to the seat and stepping. Yeah, I do like the progression. See, we've had patients with neurologic, in general, we've had patients with neurologic damage, incomplete damage to the spinal cord. So meaning that they have hypertonicity, especially with gait. Their gait velocity was normal, so actually he had normal but fast gait. What he was interested in is improving the quality of gait. His ultimate goal was to be able to chase after his 3-year-old.
Yes.
So really, if he had his wish, he wanted to get rid of his funky gait, but also he really wanted to be able to do a little bit of jogging.
And the Glidecycle really filled that need for him.
Yeah, and he's one that had been using the Alter G as well. And for him, he liked the feel of the GlideTrak. But a Glidecycle was still, a bit of a reach. But I think for him, it was just more comfortable for him to use the GlideTrak.
Okay.
I think for him and I, both, because the Alter G takes off weight uniformly, you're bearing 50%, which means 50% of your stroking, the foot on the ground.
Right.
Here, especially on the GlideTrak, I have to use my feet to propel. And for me, it almost I feel I get more proprioceptive input without the impact than one would in an overhead system. For some reason, it feels a little bit more natural, and you get more proprioceptive input. And I think that's what he was responding to.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, with him, we're working on speed and control and heel strike because he was getting some synergistic patterns when he was swinging his leg. It does allow him, again, we know that that's kind of hard to recover from, and retrain quality of gait is one of the most difficult things to do. But I think here, any support system, it allows him to do that in a safe manner. So you can screw up and not have any consequence.
That's really nice.
Bail out and just make a lot of noise, and that's about the extent of the problem. The worst thing you're going to need is a change of clothing, maybe.
Okay. Well, gosh, thank you very much, and we're looking forward to the research that you do here with our equipment and your application to a lot of the neural and orthopedic populations. And, I'm sure we'll be talking to you again.
Very good. I look forward to playing with it more.
Let's see you run just a little bit. I'll give it just a second of that.
Thank you.